Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again this week at KonKon's Cantina. Look, you know the deal. Major spoiler warnings for Disney Plus's original show, The Mandalorian, Chapter 6, The Prisoner. If you haven't watched the episode, pause the podcast, come back, and join the conversation. You can talk with us on Instagram at KonKon's Cantina, Facebook.com/KonKon's Cantina, and YouTube.com/KonKon's Cantina. If you enjoy the show, please leave us a 5-star review. It really helps, and you can leave it anywhere. Google, Sticher, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple especially, wherever you listen to the podcast. If you're interested in working with us in this podcast, feel free to send us an email at konkon'scantina@gmail.com. If you didn't know, we just released a bonus episode for Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Me and the boys talk about the upcoming movie in regards to our hopes and dreams and fears. This is completely spoiler and leak free. Bonus episodes will be coming out the first Thursday of every month and the third Thursday of every month. Bonus episodes will not necessarily contain Star Wars content. Me and the boys will also be doing a reaction episode to Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, and this episode will be coming out on Friday, the 20th of this month. It will have spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, see the movie, come back and watch it. So, without further ado, here is Chapter 6 of The Mandalorian, The Prisoner.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Don't you agree?
Welcome to Justice Cantina.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, it's KonKon. Justin, of course, with the slanderous Justin's Cantina. I am your host, it's KonKon. And this week, we have a guest. And our guest this week is James Platt. James,
an entrepreneur, business owner, first official sponsor of the podcast.
Yeah, he gave us like $10,000.
I'm now financially committed, it seems.
I didn't give that much.
James is a painter by trait. But
Yeah.
James is one of our guests this week, and of course, sitting directly across from me, mixing up the sitting arrangement again, is our PR, our media producer.
I have upgraded from guru of last week. I have now initiated the title of mogul. So
Mogul, gotcha. Yeah.
You guys could all call me the mogul.
Oh, okay, Mogul Baker.
What's going on?
You're you're MJ now.
Justin Baker.
Yeah.
On BattleNet, you can get me at Lord_Feces.
All the names. We're every time we introduce you, we're gonna have to have a guy with a scroll.
That's my goal.
And he just lists all the names. And sitting to my right, messing with his mic, as always.
Magistrate Russell Allen. Hello.
And once again, James, why don't you tell the people your handle?
It's Weasley Moorslock. Please don't ask why.
It is a great story.
Thanks.
Well, we might get into that story. But, guys, as you know, we are a Cantina podcast. So we're going to head into the Cantina to get our drinks.
Delicious.
Welcome to KonKon's Cantina. What are you having? But remember, no droids.
This week, I am drinking a local Florida brew. Fishvera Brewing from Jacksonville, Florida. I am
say
drinking.
that again?
Nope, I'm not going to say it again.
We did debate how to say this.
Yep.
Fishvera.
Yeah.
Spell it.
And I am drinking their sour.
IT.
Anders was able to pick this up for me the last time he was there. I have a crowler. It is Pucker Factor. It is a 4.7 alcohol volume, and it is very delicious. And this will be my second crowler of it. And James, what do you got? What are you drinking over there?
I'm drinking something from Wicked Weed. It's called Pernicious IPA Ale, and it's a 7.3, and it looks delicious, and I'm super excited.
Justin?
I am drinking a very, very good rye.
It's very special to my heart.
It is. It's a High West. If everybody knows High West, they make some amazing stuff. They make their Campfire is one of my favorite bourbons that gives you a smoky flavor, almost like a Scotch. What I'm drinking today, though, is their double rye, which it's an affordable, delicious rye. It's normally around $40, but Winn-Dixie likes to throw it on sale for like $35. So if you ever see that on sale, do yourself a favor, pick one up because they're quite good.
Yeah, and that's the double one. It's super,
it's
super
not
good.
the Boo Rye. The Boo Rye is a little more expensive, which is good, but this double rye is amazing.
Russell?
I am drinking a Singleton single malt Scotch whiskey, Glendulin 12-year. It's fantastic. Again, if you're drinking Scotch, it's the
You
if
need
it's
the
not
Pete's.
if it's not you need the Pete's.
Need the Pete's.
Pete for Pete and Pete.
Well, guys, the agenda for this
Nickelodeon.
episode, we are going to get into James' Star Wars saga. Before we get into that, we're also going to be talking about our special segment this week. This week, me and the boys are going to be talking about our favorite canon Star Wars book. Now, this is obviously since Disney took over. We're going to be very brief. We're just going to tell you about the book and why we like it. After that, we're going to get into our Mandalorian recap. We're structuring things a little bit differently. We wanted to put the Mando recap up there for our listeners who are obviously coming here to hear the Easter eggs and all the things that we have to say about the Mandalorian, Disney Plus's original show. So we bumped that up. We're going to put news right before our embarrassing story. And of course, this week, we are going to have James on the hot seat. He's going to be giving us his embarrassing story this week.
Oh, we know it's going to be good.
It better be good. I know it's going to be good.
I want to know if I was there for it or not is the real question.
Yeah, were we there? Little preview?
It would have been nice if I had some sort of support.
Oh, okay.
Didn't work out.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Well, with that being said, James, let's get into your Star Wars saga.
My first memory of watching a Star Wars movie was I grew up in Canada. Shout out to Canada, because shout outs are like a thing, right?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
See that?
Oh, it's a
okay.
thing.
Canada.
Oh, sweet.
Fake America.
It's just another Northern America. It's awesome. Growing up there, we went to the drive-in to see remastered Return of the Jedi. And that was
like a toonie.
pretty close.
So this was like an actual drive-in movie theater, huh?
We had to take advantage because, you only get like 2 weeks of decent weather
Yeah.
before you have to go
Dude,
back.
I've
here
never
usually.
been to a drive-in. I've always wanted to.
Do you know how difficult it is to go to a drive-in in a dog sled and watch a movie?
That would have to be, though, a like really bucket list experience to see like OG Star Wars
Oh man. So
in a
awesome.
drive-in in a crisp, cool night. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
A little bit
was.
jealous of that.
It was. That memory stuck out. Being a kid and stealing all the candy and watching it was awesome. So it always stuck out to me. And then getting to relive that, being a father now, and having my daughter watch it with me. A New Hope was her favorite. Tried to get her to watch the new stuff, but that's her absolute favorite. So getting to experience that with her again is pretty awesome.
Well, that's awesome. We were just... Oh, go ahead, Justin.
So I was going to ask you about your daughter, because I have two daughters who I can't for the life of me make like Star Wars except for Baby Yoda.
Okay.
How did you pull that off to get Tilly into Star Wars?
Well, I think you have them watch Force Awakens first, and then you have them go back and watch the decent stuff. So
you don't.
So she watched Force Awakens, which I thought, this is for her generation.
So
that
don't
she would
start
like
with
it.
documentaries. Is that where I went wrong?
Oh, okay.
Oh God, yeah, that's gonna be bad. But no, she absolutely loved the origin story, and we all love that watching it. So that transcends time. So
That
she
is
got to
true.
enjoy that.
Ray's a good character for a little girl to see Star Wars for the first time and actually start to build from there.
We
had Luke as a boy that we could do that. We're all males, obviously, in this room. Ray's like I didn't even honestly think of that. Like Ray's like a great jump off point for like a
Yeah, that's what a mutual friend of ours, Jacqueline, her daughter Olivia, is obsessed with Ray.
Dang it, I messed up.
She just had her own. She has her own Ray costume now. She was just sending me pictures today. I was telling her, I was like, we got to get together and get
I'll do like
my
a
my life size BB-8 with
Disney bounding day.
have her take pictures. But is there, besides the drive-in and watching with Tilly, what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Empire Strikes Back.
Yes,
Good choice.
Yes,
There's just so much action.
Yeah.
And then
Hoth. Everything about Hoth is memorable.
exactly, and all the character development, and you get really you're now personally invested with each character.
Yeah.
So as the story progresses, you feel all the loss at the end with Solo. So it's that to me is my favorite.
Yeah. So with that being said, we're going to get into our special segment. Like I said, this week, we're going to be talking about our favorite canon Star Wars books. Now, we kind of sprung this on James last minute. James isn't an avid book reader as we are, which is completely fine.
Star Wars books. I do read and stuff, but
So with that being said, our special segment, we are going to be talking about our favorite canon Star Wars books. So we're just going to do a small round table quickly, and we're going to talk about the new Star Wars canon books that we appreciate the most. Mine, I'm not going to get into too much detail because I really do think that it's worth your time to read. Star Wars Lost Stars. kind of embarrassing. It's kind of like a teen.
It's a YA book, but it is one of the best.
Yeah, young adult, by the way.
So is it like Star Wars Twilight?
No, it kind of tells the story of two.
Don't give it away.
I'm not, but it's in the synopsis.
Oh yeah,
of
I guess
book.
it is. Yeah, it is.
It's like a guy and a girl who are close and they're friends, and they basically, one goes the direction of the Empire, one goes the direction of
they both
the
go
rebellion.
they both go in the Imperial Navy, and they both rise through the ranks really quickly, and they both get put on a mission, and they get given a choice, and the main male protagonist in the book does not agree with the choice that he's given, kind of like Finn, and decides to defect. And so then he goes and joins the rebellion. She stays on the course with the Empire, and throughout the course of the book, they end up being engaged, reconnecting in battles, and they know because of the time that they spent with each other, and
they know
the
each other's values, and it's not like one's a bad person, one's a good person. It kind of shows you like other sides of.
They end up it humanizes people of the Empire and the rebellion, like in a way that I really would like to see in a fleshed out movie or TV show. But they end up, like, the very first time they recognize each other is because of how he was flying.
Yeah.
Like, she recognized him as a pilot. She knew that had to have been him. Yeah. Just it's a really good book. It's definitely worth your time.
What I love about that book is you're seeing all these OG original battles from A New Hope, Empire, which is your favorite movie, James, to Return of the Jedi. These scenes that we grew up watching as kids, but from a completely from a certain point of view, from a different perspective, from both sides, the Empire and the Rebellion. And for the first time, obviously watching the original trilogy, you're seeing it from the Rebellion side. They're the good guys, right? But in this book, you're seeing it from the Empire side. So it's really good. It's a good read.
Yeah.
I got it up there in hard copy. So
Russell, I didn't even get to hear what yours was, so I'm excited to hear what you say.
Mine is the canon book Legends of Luke Skywalker.
Oh, you did tell me, and I'm angry again.
Real quick, this one is a novel that follows a group of kids on their way to a planet called Cantonica, which is actually the home planet of Cantobite, the city Cantobite. And they each kind of tell a story that they've heard through the years of the legendary Luke Skywalker. Some are myth, some are true. Some of the really good stories that they kind of tell along the way are, he took down 20 AT-ATs with his lightsaber while riding on the back of a tauntaun.
He's a myth at this point.
Yeah, just great stuff that they've heard in the galaxy, and these stories are told throughout the whole galaxy. And then my favorite part of the book was a first-hand account, actually, of course, told secondhand, of a sentient and very intelligent male flea named Lugubrious Moat.
Isn't he on Celestial Crumb?
Yeah, so he's on.
Jeebus.
Yeah,
I remember this.
Salacious Crumb.
This was the reason I didn't like this book. And
it's great because towards the end of the book, he comes to see that no kid could possibly be this lucky. So although he's like whispering in Luke's ear, and Luke at the whole time while he's fighting the Rancor and everything, he thinks it's the Force actually talking to him.
Wait, you got it. You didn't give the
he's on
the post or the pre to that.
Yeah,
this flea that was on Salacious Crumb,
right,
jumps onto Luke's shoulder.
Well, he actually jumps on Leia's shoulder first, and Leia and him have a conversation. And then when Luke falls down into the Rancor pit, he somehow gets on Luke's shoulder.
So just so our listeners know,
straight this is Ratatouille style controls
Luke
Skywalker.
This is like getting into the details. I didn't really want to do that because it is a good book and it's a good read. But towards the end of the book, you come to see the same thing. You're seeing this famous scene from Return of the Jedi from a completely different perspective. That it kind of opens your eyes, and it's stories, really cool.
A lot of the stories I did like in that book, and the thing that I liked, it came out before The Last Jedi, so it was the first canon anything that we had for Luke Skywalker after The Force Awakens came out. Right. And one of the stories, it kind of followed an older Luke trying to track down Jedi lore and stuff, which was cool. So it had a lot of stuff going for it. It's one of those books that has a lot of multiple short stories in one long book.
Right.
And the one that you did bring out as your favorite happens to be the one that bugged me.
Why? Is it just because you thought Luke did it all on his own the whole time?
To me, it messed up my memory of that fight scene in Return of the Jedi, that it was a flea on his head telling him everything on how to survive.
But at the end of it, it did say this flea was like, no kid could possibly be this lucky. Maybe the Force is real.
Yeah.
You know,
it did redeem itself
it did.
at the end.
Yeah. Justin?
The book that I chose, I've only read it one time, but it stuck with me a lot because it was the first character that we kind of were introduced to in the newest trilogy of Star Wars that does not get much screen time, but became infamous immediately, and it's the Phasma book. And you guys have both read it, correct?
Yeah, it is a good book.
I loved it. Was a straight origin story.
Right.
We learned who Phasma was. We learned where she came from. She was just a straight up hardcore amazing warrior girl, and in the middle of a nowhere planet who didn't even know what space travel was, pretty much.
A post-apocalyptic planet.
Yeah, it was awesome. And
it's so good because we don't get any of that backstory.
And her ambition and her drive.
She's just this person and you don't get anything from it. And then, you know, the end that she gets in Last Jedi doesn't even fit. And her second book even... You know, her first and second book. Yeah, the second.
Only one book.
Well, second book. It goes into Bat-2.
Oh, yeah.
You know, her being on Bat-2, and we actually have, you know, real life of being able to go and travel to Bat-2.
Yeah, and one thing that actually J.J. Abrams was taken aback after watching Last Jedi is he even said one of the things that surprised him when watching it was, I can't believe Phasma died like that.
Is she dead, though?
They didn't show her dead. They just showed her plummeting, which... I mean...
Oh, she did fall into fire.
Oh, yeah, she's dead.
She's got to be dead. I just remembered that.
Not necessarily, because in that book, I won't spoil
Then the ship blew up too, right?
Hold on. In that book... well, you don't know if she escaped from some... Anyway, in that book, we get to learn where her armor came from, which at that point, she was the only person besides Cardinal who has sweet red armor before there was a Sith armor, but... You learn where her chrome armor comes from, and it is probably the coolest freaking place.
It is cool.
Can I say it?
No, it's a spoiler.
It's at the end of the book.
Read the book; it's good.
All right, this is what
all it's gonna do is make you really like Phasma, and then when she dies, like she does,
her armor to me is
super
cooler
sad.
than Beskar steel. Honestly,
all right,
I'll say that.
Let's stop right there.
Okay,
James.
God.
What's the favorite book that you haven't read in the news?
Well, out of the plethora I haven't read, the one that I have is Catalyst.
Oh yeah,
that's
yes.
right.
And I enjoyed it because it followed the lineage and spanned the gap between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very descriptive of the
Jyn Erso.
The Ursos in general.
They had a fantastic trilogy almost between Catalyst.
I don't know if I've read this book.
There was Catalyst. What was the other one? There was another one that was a Urso book, and it kind of was her in a man. Now I can't remember.
The thing that's so good about Catalyst is Catalyst came out before Rogue One, and me and you both read Catalyst before we saw Rogue One, and that's the thing about these books.
I did not read that before I saw the movie.
Oh, it enhanced that. That movie already is like my number 2 in like overall.
It's so good.
Is that because it's in like it's a Star Wars story and it didn't belong like in the lineage of, you know, the new?
That movie is so gritty.
Yes.
And we're gonna end up doing we're gonna
it's
end
like
up
the
doing
it's like the Mandalorian. It's
but
the
a
things
movie.
that I wanted to be like, to see the other side that wasn't a Jedi.
I have been wanting a Star Wars movie like that since I was 6 years old. Okay.
It was a war movie to me.
Yeah, oh yeah, completely.
There is a man. I'm looking for it right now and I can't find it. There's another Urso based book that Catalyst and then Rogue One created its own trilogy between those 3 books. It was the one that it followed her father, what's his name, Gaelic?
Yeah, Galen.
Galen Urso, and it was kind of like his story where it started from. Then we had Catalyst that kind of showed what happened and how he kind of separated, and the whole story to how she gets left in that bunker. And then we went into Rogue One and saw from that point forward, it made its own trilogy that was It was epic. It was amazing. It's definitely worth reading.
You're making me want to reread it now.
Yeah, Catalyst.
Forgot a lot about it.
I can't think of what the one that's before Catalyst was.
Have you guys heard this morning? I read an article about a possible new series coming on Disney Plus that's going to cover the area of Catalyst where
Cassian.
Cassian K2SO.
Well, this one was about Vader. It was about the rise of
I
Vader.
don't need a Vader, another Skywalker story.
Well, I don't know if you've seen a lot of Hayden Christensen being involved with promos and trying to figure out like why he's back involved with articles and things of that nature, and it was going to be that he was going to be the voice, and James Earl Jones was going to sign back on. Now, again, none of it's confirmed, but I read it this morning, and I was super stoked for it because it's going to span the gap, and if it's indeed true, and it's going to be a big part of spanning between the movies.
Listen,
Right.
Justin, this is where you're wrong. Okay, Vader is amazing,
He is, but I've seen so much
but you haven't
Skywalker.
even read the Vader comic.
Well, I can do that a different day.
The Vader comic, if I got a live action of the Vader comic, that would be ridiculous. Like, that is like one of the most crazy. The Vader comic's ridiculous. So, at this point, let's definitely get into this Mandalorian recap. This was easily one of the better episodes. Some people, I can see how they thought that episode 5 was a letdown, and Justin is about to say something.
I was saying this episode had all of the cameos that were meaningful that you could ever imagine.
All
I single-handedly picked
cameos.
all of them out.
just Justin. He had no help from our group chat at all.
No, not at all.
No, not at all. So with that being said, Chapter 6, The Prisoner. Of course, we get our cold cut open of all of our Mandalorian buckets, including Kylo Ren, Armando, and R2, as you've always seen before. Armando flies into what appears to be an outpost, a battle station. A character named Ren sees Mando and obviously has a friendship that goes into the past with these two characters. He says, "You know the policy, no questions," as they decide to talk about a job, and they go over why Mando is there. They tell him that a comrade of theirs has been captured by the New Republic, and the job is to break him out. Rand tells him that this is the last part of the job, is that they need Mando's ship.
And this guy, I'm sure that a lot of people know his face. He's played a rat in every single thing that I can think that he's been in. So I don't know about you, but I immediately distrusted him.
Right.
The most memorable scene to me is Fast and the Furious, where they put the rat on his stomach and put a can over top of it and try to get the rat to eat through him until he gives up people.
He's a cop in that movie, too.
Yeah, he's always a dirty cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's his name is Mark Boone Jr. He was also in Sons of Anarchy. And what's interesting?
Took the
I'm sorry, James.
No, it's fine.
There's one reason why you're here, and I ruined it.
Listen, I'm contributing so much anyways. It's fine. Just keep going.
It was actually interesting because we were watching it today at lunch, and the TV they were watching it on, the brightness was incredibly high. And when the sparks shot out, you could actually see a little bit of Armando's face and his beard. My coworker Kevin actually
It's a
saw
solid
that.
point about Rand.
Yeah, so Rand tells Mando that after they get this, all the people that they need for this job, he tells them that the last piece of the puzzle is the Mando's very own ship. Mando tells him that this was not part of the deal. We then are venturing through this outpost of Rand's, and Mayfeld gets introduced. Mayfeld, the Mando, and Rand continue to have some banter. Mayfield is not impressed at all with this Mando.
I wrote down that same thing. His unimpressed look that he just gives our boy, who is this guy? Zero respect, zero anything about being around a Mandalorian.
Yeah, totally does not care at all. Does not give him the respect our boy deserves. Mando brings out that all of the things that Rand is talking about in his past was a long time ago. Maybe this is because this is the life that our Mando has left behind at some point. Mando does not want to bring up the parts of his past, maybe the things that he had to do to get into the Bounty Hunters Guild, or even be part of his new culvert, maybe bringing money to him and other foundlings.
It's interesting. It seems like he's almost a different man from what he used to be. What event in his life could have had this massive change of heart in his life? Makes you think about that.
Yeah, I think it could be. They don't really give you any legit history to base it off of. I got two different vibes. I got exactly what you said, and then I also kind of then fell into is this just what he resorted into doing to earn money for the guild before, or not the guild, I'm sorry, earn money for his clan before he could get into the guild? This was kind of his earning his way up before he could apply and make his way into the bounty
Sell
hunters
his
guild.
soul, so to speak.
Yeah.
What he did before.
I'm also wondering what the timeline is. If you think about Mayfeld, he's the number 2 in that outpost, and he doesn't know who the Mandalorian is.
Yeah.
Everyone else there knows who he is.
They all
So
give
how
him
long
the
has it
respect.
been?
Like, he's your number 1. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's been a while.
he's number 2, and he doesn't even know who he is. So I'm wondering how long it's been.
Yeah, and like we've talked about that this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi, so 5 years after the destruction of the second Death Star. At what point, we still don't know exactly how old our Mandalorian is. How long has he been running around with, these misfits or these gangs or, whatever they are, a gang syndicate?
It's interesting too what you just said, Connor. That was during the Dark Times, the Empire. So maybe the universe as a whole, or the galaxy as a whole back then, was kind of enveloped by this dark side. So you had to do nasty things to survive in this nasty universe. So now that the galaxy is free of the Empire and the New Republic is back, or the Republic is ruling again, maybe he's like, you know what, I'm gonna have a change of heart.
And as it was brought out, Rand brings out that Mayfield is running point on this job. He says that he is the best trigger man he knew. Did you know that he was an Imperial sharpshooter?
Oh, man.
Armando says,
the best line.
"That's not saying much."
I love the dig at stormtroopers can't hit anything.
He says, "Hey, wise..." I can't remember what he said. Didn't he?
Like, I wasn't a stormtrooper.
Wise butt, wise ass.
That's what he said. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So, yeah.
I wasn't a stormtrooper.
Yeah, he wasn't a stormtrooper. So totally bringing in a canonical joke that we have in our real life into...
Almost as good as a high ground joke.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, which we already got. So, we're going down the list, Jokes about him being a stormtrooper. Mayfield then proceeds to introduce Armando into the rest of the crew.
This cameo crazy crew.
Oh my god. And this is gonna take a while, but we're gonna get into the cameo. So if you have not watched Star Wars Clone Wars, we're definitely gonna at some point be going over that, what is worth your time to watch and how to get more of that, more Star Wars canon in your life. And the first person to be introduced, and we're going to get into the species here, is Berg. This is a red humanoid species with 2 large horns, a.k.a. Hellboy.
A Deveronian.
A Deveronian. Now, you may be recognizing the species, and it's because you are. So this species is first introduced 1977 in the Cantina scene in Star Wars A New Hope. Obi-Wan and Luke are walking through the Cantina, and as the camera is panning from side to side of the Cantina, this is one of the species that you will see.
And what's interesting is in the Cantina scene is he's laughing, which our Deveronian in this series, or this episode, he laughs a lot. So maybe it's a trait to the species.
The next crew member is a droid, which we know our Mandalorian hates. This droid, also seen in various Star Wars movies, including A New Hope, is named Zero.
Have you tried turning it off then on again?
And who is this person? Who is this Zero?
Oh my gosh, one of my favorite TV shows ever, The IT Crowd, and he's Moss. If you just watch the show.
It is by far one of the best shows ever to be on television.
And we didn't talk about who's the Deveronian?
Clancy Brown, like the actor.
Yeah, the actor.
Yeah, he's. He's been in a bunch of movies, but he does a lot of voice acting though, right? Russell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't actually have that written down, but
he was in Rebels, and he played the governor that was overthrown of Lothal. That Governor Price took over, and he was the white-haired, kind of the big, muscular guy that near the end of the series he fakes out. He acts like he's going to defect to the Empire to turn him in, and then that was all a giant trap at the end.
Yep.
That's how they save Lothal.
Yep. Next is a Twi'lek named Xian.
Xian. X-I apostrophe A-N.
Mm-hmm. Great actress, though.
Some of the Twi'leks that we've seen in Star Wars canon, if you think that you recognize the species, or maybe you don't, and the reason for that is in Return of the Jedi, the second hand to Jabba the Hutt is also a Twi'lek. Now, female and male Twi'leks are a little bit different. Male Twi'leks have 2 large
butt heads.
Yeah, butt or bulbs. They're actually it's considered a horn that grow on top of their foreheads, and the older they get, the larger they get. They also have 2 type tentacles that go off the back of their heads, which are called Leku. The older the Twi'lek species get, the longer the Leku gets, which is a testament to how old the Twi'lek in Return of the Jedi is, because he has to literally wrap his Twi'lek around his shoulders to keep them from, well, I don't know if they would actually drag on the ground, but at some point they can drag on the ground. So this does show how young this Twi'lek female is and how old we're soon going to get into her brother is.
Bib Fortuna was actually the name of the Twi'lek at Jabba's palace.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I don't know why I could not remember his
I
name.
told you an entire story.
Yeah,
about
yeah.
why
I
they
know,
named
but
that.
Bib Fortuna.
it was totally escaping me.
But he was Jabba the Hutt's second in command for quite a long time. I can't remember the years, but he was there for quite a long time.
Mi Jabba no bother.
Ichuta.
So with that being said, Zero then plugs into the Razor Crest, and our crew is off. They are off. Well, he plugs into the Razor Crest, and he's going over some of the databank information on the Razor Crest. Mayfeld,
Full Moss style.
yeah, oh yeah, he's taking in all the information. Mayfield then breaks down the job. Complete Ocean's 11, Fast and the Furious. We're getting all the information that we need to break out their boy from prison.
It's gonna be a heist.
Mando points out that this ship that they're showing on the blueprints, the hologram, that this is a New Republic prison ship. Okay? Mando is not liking this job at all. He is not looking to bring that kind of heat on himself.
This is the first time also that we've heard the New Republic as a term in this series.
No?
It isn't?
Second.
Second? Well, okay, it's the New Republic is up and running. It's not a fledgling government. Like, it is fully up and running at this
I did
point.
think that this was weird. Did you have something to say, James?
I think it was going to share with what you were thinking, that this wasn't the first mention that we had, that it was going to be, I'm trying to remember when he said, hey, you can go back and take it to the New Republic.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah, that's right.
And,
Yeah.
that
That's
this was
a
the
joke.
and that was the
Justin,
part.
again with wrong facts.
And that was the part that I thought was weird, because our Mando, when we get our first reference, and we brought this out in an episode, Leia literally foregoes all Jedi training in Bloodlines. Bloodlines, thank
Which
you.
is another. Actually, that was going to be my book I talked about, but
Another canon Star Wars book. So
Yeah.
she foregoes all her Jedi training to pursue this career as a politician. That's how she thinks she's going to do with the galaxy. Armando then makes a joke saying that the New Republic is a joke. Now all of a sudden, the New Republic is not a joke.
No.
I mean, they're a government that's forming. So you're saying, okay, the Battle at Jakku was about a year after Return of the Jedi, so this takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So you're talking about 4 years of government developing here. So I mean, every episode we're going to get closer and closer to a full-fledged government. So maybe this prison transport was, they just had a trial on Coruscant, or Hosnian Prime, I'm sorry.
New Republic planet.
Right. And
Rip. In Force Awakens.
yeah.
Mhm.
R.I.P. Maybe they, like I said, they're becoming a government, and they just had a court case, and now they're traveling to whatever planet they're going to be incarcerated on.
I have a very short statement to make. Mayfield has the dumbest holsters I've ever seen for blasters.
This was, listen, if I'm not trying to be in a buddy cop show, I'm not, like, I'm
That's
with
gotta
Will
be
Ferrell and the
uncomfortable.
other guys.
It's
Like,
gotta be uncomfortable.
So stupid.
talk about it more.
They're just like off. They're like
Not
off of
only
his
that,
body. Like they're
Later
like,
in the episode, our Twi'lek guy like pulls it out of his chest holster, like,
I did
what
think,
sister? Like,
I did
you know,
think-
like what?
I did think that was very, Star Wars has always done a really good job of, we have a running joke now, Justin, with Star Wars-ness.
yes,
right? It's
yes,
very
we
sta-
do.
it's
We
very
create
Star Wars-ness.
Wars-ness.
That was very worldly.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, that is
The
total,
Long Didn't Last Jedi, is that?
But I feel like
like, it's very,
it wasn't the right position. That wasn't the right angle. They were just like
well,
kinda
those are
floating
his,
off.
those are his backup blasters, because
it looks so stupid. Every time I saw him, it made me angry because they were like just floating off his shoulders.
well, it had to do with the camera angle, and we only get one shot in the episode where Mayfeld drops down from the Razor Crest, and he pulls out 2 blasters from his hip holsters. So he
Yeah,
actually
not
has
his chest.
Yeah,
That's
he
true.
actually has 5 blasters, 2 on the chest, which are smaller, more compact blasters, and then we have the
because
2
he is
on
a
the
trigger
hips.
man.
Yes, he is the trigger man.
We are talking about him, so he achieved something.
Bill Burr. You
So-
disappointed me.
Just like the good old days, Mando.
We find out exactly why the Razor Crest is so important. Just like a callback to The Force Awakens when Han Solo says that there's no way that they could have done anything with the Falcon because it would be on the radar of the First Order, the Empire. Everybody would know about it. That is exactly why they need the Razor Crest. It is too old for anybody to know. It is not on anybody's radar. It's not on the New Republic radar, and it's not on the Empire radar.
And they called it a gunship. So it is not a freighter. It's not like the YT-1300. This is a straight-up gunship, which was cool.
From Clone Wars era.
He does have 2 very large guns. In fact, that's a callback to Episode 4 when he is having the dogfight. Multiple shots are hit on our Mandalorian ship, and it only took
1.
Well, 2, one from each gun, but right. 1 to
one
destroy.
Pull the trigger.
Yeah, which we haven't had any. This freighter has to have some sort of deflector shields. Has to.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't show them because normally they have like those little round, disky looking deflector shields, but it's got to have something, some type of defense.
Yeah, it's got to have something. Zero then brings up that he is smarter and he has faster reflexes to Armando, which we obviously know he is not happy with. Armando hates droids, and we're just going to keep bringing that up.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, the crew takes off from the port with Zero piloting the Razor Crest. Zero has to pilot it because the maneuver that they have to do to break down into this job and to get onto this ship is just something that the Mando is not capable of. In fact, actually, the Mando says that the Razor Crest is not capable of this, but Rand brings out that with the ability of Zero and a droid pilot that they'll be able to do this.
Right.
And this was the first time I think seeing a droid pilot a ship, which we have seen before. This was the first time we got to see like knobs moving
on their own.
Yeah, like
just by the computer.
Yeah, it was a cool little scene that we've seen a droid pilot a ship, but it would just fly where it wanted. This was the time we saw physical things moving and knobs being switched and levers being pulled by this droid operating it, which was a really cool scene.
And,
I wonder,
and James brought that. Yeah, James brought that up.
I was also going to say, I think we remember the original plan, the flight plan, where they were going to drop in above the ship and descend quickly. And it happened so quick, the crew didn't even realize what happened. But they dropped in so fast that if there were defenses, I'm not sure they would even be in effect by the time they already docked.
Moss is a good pilot.
Yeah, that was a key point in this heist to break this guy out of prison, is that this ship was going to jump into hyperspace at one point. So they did have a time limit of getting in on the ship, breaking them out before they were jumping to whatever coordinates they were, because, hyperspace tracking technology wasn't invented yet, but soon to come. So after that, the pilot of the Razor Crest is obviously now Zero. After jumping to hyperspace, Zero informs Armando that he's got it from here. Take a load off, dude. Go sit down. I got it. Mando now joins his new and old crew of misfits down in the hangar.
I think it's funny when Armando climbs down. It reminded me of when Chubbs kind of climbed down.
Look awkward.
Exactly, in chapter 3 or 4, and he's like, "Gotcha."
Look, this isn't a big ship, okay? There's not a lot of room.
That ladder must be difficult.
Listen, it's small. You've got Beskar on. Listen, there's not a lot of room.
Coming up to when we have some interaction with our band of misfits here, did what's the point man's name? Mayfeld. Did not he remind you of Cypher from Matrix?
He did.
Oh my gosh.
So apparently
take the red
just
pill.
Proves that in the future
Mando.
There's always someone from Boston that's going to be there with some sort of weird accent that's going to come through.
And just as Russell brings out Armando and Berg, they kind of get into a scuffle. Berg is looking into
snooping.
Yeah, he's looking through all of his stuff. Mayfeld brings out comments about he understands why he doesn't like people get into his space. They don't understand why the Mando is so special. Mayfeld brings out that the Mandalorians are the most feared and fearsome warriors in the galaxy. Berg then says, then why are they all dead?
Very unimpressed.
Can we talk about how there's no security on this guy's ship? Like,
we've already talked about this.
That guy's just pressing random buttons and he just makes the code and every door is open.
What was the other chapter?
Is nothing locked?
An episode
chapter 1.
When he someone opens the door.
Yeah, his first battle.
Oh yeah, and then the Jawas clear him out, right?
Yeah, he got scared. No, he got scared of the guns and closed it. He's like, don't bring him down on me.
That's right. And then we were exposed to the portable carbonite freeze.
And then he talked about having to evacuate his bowels.
After this small scuffle, more talking comes about in regards to our Mandalorian. Shan talks about how she seems to know who he is. She makes it sound like she knows that our Mandalorian used to be a cold-blooded killer.
Some type of history.
Yeah, some types of history. And this was already been brought out earlier with the obvious history with the crew. She invokes Mando to tell a story about a previous job that they have done. Mayfield then wants our Mandalorian to take off the helmet. This has to do with trust.
Mhm.
Okay, they can't see him. They want to see his eyes. Obviously,
She knew the term.
this is the way. And obviously, our Mandalorian cannot take off that helmet. And because of this, a fight breaks out between Berg and our Mandalorian, and he accidentally opens the door to which apparently is now Baby Yoda's room.
It is. It's Baby Yoda's room.
Give my man a bigger room, okay?
We're coming out of hyperspace, though.
The first time I watched this, I was like, where the heck is Yoda at? And then all of a sudden, boom, there he is.
Locked in his cubby.
Cool. All the Coos subtitle watchers will know exactly what we're talking about.
Gasp.
Totally.
Mayfield then brushes off that Baby Yoda is a pet, further pushing the idea of how unknown Yoda's species is.
Yeah, they don't know what to make of this guy.
Yeah, they don't think that this might be a sentient being or a sentient alien. He just
pretends to drop him. He's such a jerk. That whole group, they're jerks. I'm sorry.
Can't.
Well, he also made a reference too, and it wasn't the first time it was the reference was made in the episode. Rand at first said, "All right, lovers," between Mando and
oh yeah.
And then on that one,
did you guys make this?
Yeah, he's like, "Did you guys make this?" So I mean, there's another reference that there's a deeper connection between Mando and the girl. So
I don't know. I think that was an implied, but not a legit.
Like,
Oh, no,
it was a joke.
I think there's something there.
I think that
at one point there was something
I think
there.
that she wants there to be, and she's playing along with it, and he's like, "Get out of here."
I wonder if he took the helmet off when they were getting hot and heavy.
Well, there's
like, wouldn't it
jokes.
fog up?
It'd be like a Titanic thing, you
guys.
know,
This is a non-explicit podcast.
I mean, it's just hot in space.
Okay, well, anyway.
On that note, so it's interesting.
They come out of hyperspace.
When they come out of hyperspace, Zero was like, "It's impressive. This ship survived the Empire without being impounded."
Yeah, and Zero drops out without warning of hyperspace,
Throws everybody for a loop,
which sends the crew flying against the walls and the ground. And now the job begins. And dude, Baby Yoda totally gets dropped.
Oh, yeah. He's
first
rolling around.
Brain
bomb.
damage.
Dude, he gets El Kabonged in the head.
He was dropped in the hangar when the guy was shot that was holding him, and I mean this is number 2. This is borderline abuse.
Yeah,
were you?
He's
dropped
already
on
in
the
a closet. I mean, he's sleeping in a closet. and He's being dropped 24/7.
Were you dropped on the head before 75?
This is what I imagine our wives picture us like taking care of our kids when they're like not at home, and it's up to us to watch our little girl.
How dare you? I don't watch.
Listen, if I'm about to drop my Yingling, okay, I gotta drop something before.
That's why you don't pick your kids up.
Connor does not have kids.
Just leave them on the floor. It's fine.
I have fur babies, which I just lost.
Collectively in this group, we all, or minus Connor, we all have kids, but only girls.
Mm-hmm.
We fire one direction, apparently.
Only, yep.
Isn't that a boy band?
So what did you guys think by what Zero said there about it's amazing the ship survived the Empire without being impounded? Like, because it's a gunship and it's from the Clone Wars era, and the Empire was trying to like take all threats away.
Yeah, I think it was tech, like that it could get past their sensors. Their
so how did it survive the Empire? 20 years of the Empire.
It's amazing it survived the maneuver he did. I thought he
that was incredible.
I mean, it was an abrupt stop. Even they were like, well, there was no warning, no nothing.
To correlate this to real world, at one point there was with semi drivers. There's a new wave of semi trucks that are out that are all tracked by companies that hire drivers, and then their trucks are tracked. So when drivers have older trucks, they have to manually log all their hours because you have to drive so long, and then you have to legally take a break.
Yeah,
right?
You can't. Yeah, that's why you see all these trucks at a truck stop, and they're all parked all over the right of way. And stuff.
So
there's no way to cheat the system like there was in the day.
And that's kind of like, maybe that,
back in the day,
something just like, this
good old days.
This ship, they had to come out with new ships, just like you said. They wanted to be able to. Mm-hmm. The Empire wanted to track
this ship. Yeah. This ship was analog in a digital age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want a Razor Crest.
Which I am not backing down. That is the name of the ship. It's not the style.
No, it's the name of the ship.
No.
Serenity now. Firefly class. Fight me.
You know why I know you're both wrong?
Because you're always wrong.
No. When Lando introduces the Falcon in Solo, Do you know when Han Solo first steps on the bridge, he doesn't say, "Oh, this is a Millennium Falcon, isn't it?" What does he say?
It's a Millennium Falcon.
It's a YT freighter.
It's a
My dad
YT
used to work on the line.
Oh,
on
you're talking about
Corellia.
Solo. I was thinking you were doing OG. Never mind.
You know,
But
confused.
it's got even okay. What do you see? The big in his chrome ship, the yellow. It
This-
looks like a big R to me.
this isn't an infamous ship. This-
Razor Crest does not. It's not like a model number like YT 1300. Like it's a name.
yeah,
That's
but
a-
when you see a car, you don't say, "Oh, that's a Subaru."
What? That doesn't.
You don't always say it's
This
a
is our
WRX
world.
or a.
That's not Star Wars.
That's not the same.
Con-
That's not the same.
it's
It's
not.
it's the Razor Crest. It's
I will
not,
literally die
Connor.
on this hill.
Connor. He
that
doesn't
this
say
is not
Here-
called
no.
a Razor Crest.
How about
this is the
let's-
brand of ship.
it's not
For
a
those of us,
Razor Crest.
for those of
it's
you that are
the
listening
Razor
and
Crest.
are on Justin and I's,
For those of you who have not turned off
side.
the podcast at this point,
Well, how about this? How about a present day application? It's a ship, right? What are modern day ships? Boats. All boats have names.
No, a boat is not the same as a ship.
oh
whatever.
jeez. Okay, we're
Come on.
editing.
All right.
We're editing all that out.
Uh.
Like, not even kidding. All right, give
It's
me a second.
a
I gotta
Razor
figure out where
Crest,
we are.
not
That was retarded.
Razor.
It's no. I'm telling you, it is not what it is.
We'll keep it soon.
I will die on that hill.
Razor Crest.
I'm not.
Why?
editing
Okay,
this out.
so can you imagine the original trilogy?
Dude, you
The
realize how
whole
many
time-
times this dude has left this thing unlocked? If the Razor Crest,
We're
if
not
the
saying-
Razor Crest is this known, how many people would have freaking stolen this shit by now?
We're not saying that he has bad sense of personal
The
belongings.
hill is crumbling underneath you, Connor.
No, you got no. Now the job begins. They look to Mando because they know that they have brought him here for a special thing. And that is, Mando then begins to slice open the hatch to get into the prisoner New Republic ship. One by one, the crew drops down into the New Republic prison ship. Bio-tracking is activated by Zero.
I think it's interesting. Before he drops down, he actually takes one last look at Iota's room, longingly, like, "Oh
when
man,
they leave the Razor Crest.
is my kid gonna be safe here?" And then he drops down.
Has he done that in any other chapter before?
Every chapter.
Yeah,
Where you-
Not look back.
He's a poor parent.
That's what I'm gonna say. Did
Yeah.
he look
He
back
really
like,
is
oh, I wonder
trying
if I
hard,
locked that
though.
door? The answer is no. You've never locked anything ever.
Not a
When
single
I-
time.
when I
I
dropped
shut
my-
him up in the cabinet. God.
When Connor drops his Yingling, or I'm sorry, his baby before the Yingling, he's going to try really hard next time.
I did say Yingling. I don't drink Yingling.
Ew, who drinks Yingling?
Kyle.
It's America's oldest beer.
He ingests it.
If you want to sponsor our video,
Yingling.
Yingling.
shout out to Yingling.
Yeah.
Anakin, killer of Yinglings.
Oh my gosh, that was
I
good.
do want to be a Jedi.
Bio-tracking, by the way.
Oh yes, so
is
you're
this
talking
not,
about.
Is this not how... this is more credence to this is how the tracking fobs work.
I still think that it breaks like hyperspace weaponry. It's bio tracking. It breaks Star Wars. Why can't they just bio track Luke?
They gave Mando the last known coordinates of Baby Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't just say, "Oh yeah, here's your tracking fob. This is all you need."
I think that Bob only works
Pushing
within,
further
like,
credence
close
that you need
proximity.
more than just DNA.
You need ultra close proximity for
yeah,
it to do anything.
and once you're close, then it starts to work. Not
Yeah.
just here you go, go off to the ginormous Star Wars universe galaxy. They still gave him last known coordinates,
There's
and when he
literally
got on the planet,
At least
then it started
8
beeping.
planets for them to search.
That's
in our
why
last episode when he smashes the tracking fob against the cantina wall, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I have it all
I
memorized."
got the dots remembered.
He's got those lights memorized. So it's a okay. Let's just digress, okay, and drop it.
we
move on.
digress.
You digress.
We digress.
So the robots that
the-
we see,
The Republic robots.
yes, not the battle droid style, the round ones. They immediately made me think of Doctor Who Daleks.
Oh my gosh! Yes, I couldn't remember
Like,
what
that
they're
is
called.
all
Daleks.
Yep, that is all that I saw. Russell, I don't think you or Connor doesn't like Doctor Who. I can look at his eyeballs and know.
Did anyone else get the Lost in Space reference? Or am
No,
just
I didn't.
old?
Go
Danger,
ahead.
Will Robinson. It was like the same robot, big, round,
Oh, yeah.
barrel-chested.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
There was also when they were moving through the corridors in the ship. I think it was the music, but it kind of sounded like Wookiees, like oh. I think it was the music.
So after
I would play that in a prison. Wookiee music.
Well, it makes you think that there might be Wookiees on the prison ship, but this is a New Republic ship, so that probably doesn't make sense.
After Berg kills the mouse droid, as Justin brought out, 4 security droids are alerted. With the swiftness, Armando dispatches with these droids easily.
Mm-hmm.
They then move with the help of Zero to get into the control room. After breaking into the control room, they spot a New Republic security officer.
Also known as the main character from the hit TV show now canceled, called Timeless, Wyatt Logan.
Hit TV show, now canceled.
That hit canceled TV show.
It
hit
was
the
really
floor.
good. It actually did
We
come out.
probably remember his voice more than his face,
Mhm.
Russell.
You didn't want to take that from me, Justin?
No.
No.
I think Whitney told it to you, right?
Yeah, Whitney was actually the one that texted me to it. But I found it on my own because I apparently don't look at my phone. Anyway, Matt Lanter, who also played Anakin Skywalker in the hit TV show Clone Wars.
And
Yeah, he does
one
a lot
of
of
the
voices.
best all-time bounty hunters ever.
Well,
Who
he
is-
wasn't Cat Bane.
Well, you told me that.
No, I was mistaken.
Oh, you're messed up.
He wasn't, but he was Anakin Skywalker.
Well, Anakin's egghead on the floor.
That is who we're hoping Knees Down is from episode 5, is Cad Bane, by the way.
Nobody wants Boba Fett. If you're Boba Fett, we'll all riot.
It better not be Boba Fett.
But seriously, shout out to my wife, because the first 2 times I watched the show, I was not recognizing Matt Lanter at all. When she texted me, I was like, "Oh my gosh, it is him!" So awesome.
After a scuffle breaks out between the New Republic security officer in the control room and the Mando, our Mandalorian tries to de-escalate the situation. He puts away his blaster. He talks to him calmly. He even asks him his name.
Be cool, bro.
Be cool, dude. Just chill, bro. Like, take a Xanax. We're not gonna kill you, bro.
Hey,
But
put your beeper away.
Mayfeld has a completely different idea. While blasters raised and drawn at everybody else looking around the room, putting up his flamethrower to our Berg assailant, and also pointing a blaster at Mayfield, Xeon takes matters into her own hands and kills Devon. Wasn't that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Hits my dude right in the jugular.
Crazy twee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy tweet. What? Yeah, is that the first bit of derogatory
Slur?
kind of racial slur
Yeah.
that we're getting in
How is that derogatory? It's just half of
short.
what there are.
a
Twi'lek.
tweet? I don't know. I don't think
Oh.
that's a coincidence.
It's crazy.
That's
twee.
how I took it.
It was negative connotations 100%. And this is the first time that you start to see our boy like think that this mission is going awry.
Mhm.
He's not cool with the way it's starting to progress, and I felt like at that point was where he switched and kind of went into a defensive mode,
Mhm.
not just like operating as normal. He's looking out for himself.
And if you look at the canon information that we have on Twi'leks, which is only one at, Jabba's palace, and these two, they are kind of crazy.
The only can.
They're both, and
Okay,
they both have like
in movies,
Okay.
cinematic canon.
the canine, or what is that? The little like incisor teeth. They have, like vampire teeth.
Incisors.
Yeah, they have canines. Mhm.
Does all Twi'leks do all? Man,
Twi'leks.
English is
seem-
hard.
they
Do
seem to,
all
like-
Twi'leks have those?
They seem to vampire mouth that like show you those teeth.
No,
And
they-
she's like hissing.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
Even Bumblebee Tuna.
Your balls are showing.
Your
Fortuna.
even Fortuna
Bib
has
Fortuna.
yeah, Bib Fortuna
Bib
has
Fortuna.
the fangs. But after Devon is unfortunately killed, they notice that the tracking beacon has been activated, and this is exactly what the Mando did not want. This is the heat that he did not want brought upon them. This is the distress signal confirming that they now have 20 minutes to get the job done, as Zero brings out over their intercom. Then, as they're running through the corridors trying to complete their mission, Berg completely goes WWE on 2 droids, throwing them down to the ground, showing that he truly is the muscle that they needed on this job.
Full suplex.
After giving more information by Zero, they finally find the cell to the assailant, their friend that they are trying to find through this entire episode. But
Friend? I don't think friend is a.
it's a friend to some of these
It's a
people.
family, even to some.
Maybe not
crazy
our
twee family.
maybe not Armando. A familiar face still to Armando. As the door opens,
Mhm.
Armando mutters, "Quinn."
And did you not get the vibe that Quinn was the big boss?
At some point,
At some
Yeah.
point.
yeah, definitely maybe partners with Ran.
Yeah, like he was upper echelon of whatever their ex crew was.
Which, if he's so good, how did he get caught?
Who knows how long he was captured? Could have been years.
Could have been, for sure. After this, the rest of the plot then ensues, and Mando is thrown into a cell, but he quickly breaks out. Bad news for our crew of misfits. And like a horror movie and the monster in it, Armando then kills the lights like the Batman that we have seen in other episodes.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you know I'm not a huge Batman fan.
You're wrong for not being that.
That's a whole nother episode.
Everything changed. The lights changed. The music changed. Everything changed. All of a sudden, he went into stalker mode, and you got a glimpse of where he was at, and it was...
Oh, he was mad, man.
Yeah. It made your heart kind of pound because that's how the music was dictating for you to feel. So it was interesting to see the switch into kind of like Connor was saying, that horror.
And we talked about the directors. We had almost 3 directors working on this episode.
Mm-hmm. Joint effort.
The mood, like you were saying, completely changed. When the lights go out, we get the red light, like kind of like the security light that we see in other movies, which gives us this like danger.
Horror movie.
Who was the 3 directors on this episode? We know Dave Filoni was one. Who are the other 2? Do we know?
Well, there's one main director listed in the credits. I did not write it down, unfortunately.
Because I got very Jon Favreau vibes, like Iron Man 1, like the Iron Man escaping from like his desert prison. That's kind of the vibe I got across this, which it could have just been that's how it was written. I'm not sure who directed that series of scenes, but the way it was very like flashes of light. It was you see him, you don't see him. He comes across the screen. He's eliminating characters or villains or nemesis one by one systematically.
The Mandalorian episode directors were Dave Filoni, like you said, Justin, Rick Famuyiwa, and Deborah Chow.
Deborah Chow, once again, the director to the Obi-Wan Kenobi show that is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
With that and the red lights, I'm thinking this is some security measure. Remember, Mando is in the control room at this time when he kills the lights. This cuts off all communication between the crew and Zero, the eyes and ears of our crew. Now, Mando is completely capable of operating on his own. At this point, Zero also meets our Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda, once again, has found a way to escape from his tiny little room. Get my man a bigger room. He deserves it. Get him a bucket of frogs. And listen, buy him a house, okay? Child services, get involved. Okay, my man needs to stop being alone.
There's not a lot of room on that razor.
Listen, he had Cara Dune, and she offered help, and he said no.
Also, Pocahontas was like willing to take Baby.
Well, we couldn't leave him there. Yeah, we couldn't leave him there. So
because he's so safe, because he's been dropped 3 times in the last 2 episodes.
That's what I'm saying.
I noticed something when our man killed the lights. It's quick, but you can kind of see the family dynamic of our Twi'leks. The brother like uses his sister as like a body shield because he like freaks out. You need to go back and watch that like right now because
and with that
dysfunctional family.
And with that, Armando, just like in The Force Awakens, starts closing doors like Rey does on the ship that Solo has, and this cuts off our assailants and cuts their group in half. Quinn does not care about his sister. His only goal is to get off of this ship. Armando goes back to the control room to pick up the tracking beacon, an important point for the end of the episode. Zero looks, and he is looking for Baby Yoda, continuing this horror movie type theme that we have.
Straight hide and seek.
Protect Baby Yoda at all
Baby
costs.
Yoda is quick. Like, make note of that. Like, he is not slow to move. Like, he is gone faster than a droid can even process where he went to.
And we're seeing development with Baby Yoda.
For
you
sure,
know, he walks up to Zero. He doesn't know that Zero is the threat, and he quickly realizes that he is.
He's not oblivious to what's going on. He might not speak, but he picks up on the slight perception of a bad guy or a good guy.
It's interesting. I was brought up a couple times by different folks talking to me about the fact in the last episode. Maybe it was the fact that Dave Filoni directed the last episode, but Yoda seemed very infantile in the last episode, very like 1 or 2. And then in this episode, what you guys are bringing out about how he's so super aware. He didn't see Zero as a threat, then he did, then he starts running around, and then he's looking at his hand later in the episode like, oh, I did that. So it's, his age, we're still trying to figure out exactly in human years how old he is.
Well, he's definitely have to fend for himself. I mean, everything so far, he's being discovered. There's no real security on the ship, so I think now it's to the point where he's like, okay, I need to at least back myself up here because no one else seems to be doing it until the very end.
Berg then tracks Armando into the control room and a fight ensues. After throwing his vibro blade into the door and closing the blast doors, he then hits another button to close the blast shield doors on
He's got
top.
one move.
Oh, but come on. When we were watching that episode, we thought our Deveronian guy was done.
Oh yeah,
For- the
for
fir-
sure.
And then he comes back and he's like,
Our boy loves chopping people with doors. We've learned that much.
oh, yes.
And we tried to count. One thing to note is when Mandalorian was fighting the security droids, the first time he used one whistling bird, and while he's fighting our Deveronian Berg, I think we think we counted
8.
6 to
Like,
8, something like that.
It's hard
It
to
was
count.
hard to tell between the ricochets because of the sound effect. At minimum of 6, so that's 7 this episode, minimum gone.
At-
The 4 that was done before. So
At-
he's at 11
At
at
this,
least.
yeah.
He's
and
got like one left.
what was our original count? Was it 12?
Yeah.
So at this point,
He's got 1 or 0.
What a waste.
yeah, it's gonna be.
He needs more Beskar.
That's kind of like that suspension of disbelief if we get another episode.
Mhm.
We've got 2 left where he unleashes an entire gauntlet full of whistling birds. I'm gonna ask some questions, but
Did we establish why they were ineffective and why they didn't work? I think we talked a little bit about like proximity.
Oh, yeah. Connor, you mentioned that the room was too small.
That's what our suspect is.
yeah, that was my idea because the first time that we see the whistling birds, he's definitely in a bigger room. And if you rewatch episode 3,
They got time to circle around.
they circle
up and
around, they loop, yeah, like you're saying, Justin, and they kind of come back. It does take them maybe a second to find their target. I mean, even if you think these tiny little rockets, finding their target, coming out of that gauntlet, like you said, proximity, he was very close, so maybe the room was too small.
I don't think he had time to set up his targeting correctly. I mean, if you look at the directions of the whistling birds,
Yeah.
you need to use this in a minimum of 15 feet. I mean, come on.
Well,
it's-
at the
He didn't
same,
read the fine print.
he didn't read the fine
at the
print.
same time that he shot them, he had also just got knocked off of his feet and was shooting
yeah.
as he's falling down. So his targeting could have been part of the problem on its own.
Yep. So did we
Batman.
go back to Iota? Was he almost shot by our Zero Man?
We're almost there.
Now finish with the
Mayfield is then tracking more
Shion.
through the hallway. He is with Quinn. He then proceeds to take down more droids, which I was not impressed with because Mayfield was, or I keep saying Mayfeld was the one that was taking point.
Yeah,
They
Mayfeld.
brought out how good of a shot that he was, and literally sneaking up on these droids.
There was like 3 of them there, right?
My dude took like 21 shots.
Yeah.
How good are you as a shooter if you have a mechanical arm as backup because you're not all
Go
that great?
Gadget Blaster.
Yeah,
My God.
That is the best name.
Go Gadget Blaster.
This just in. Go Gadget Blaster. 20 shots later, take 2 droids down.
I wonder because he was a sniper, right? Was that the sniper and he just sat there and did nothing?
Guys, he was a
Listen.
stormtrooper. They can't hit anything.
I wasn't a stormtrooper. I missed 1/3 as much times as them.
And with that, Mando one by one is taking down the assailants, this misfit crew that he has now been reunited with. He has a knife fight with Xi'an that he is prevalent of.
Which was the most Batman thing that I picked out with that episode. Dude, his cape, his like pulling his gauntlet over his face and his slow charge.
The
Yeah.
Dude,
close
that
combat.
was amazing. I
Yeah.
freaking loved that scene. Each knife throw like deflected strategically.
And with that being said, the most, in my opinion, amazing scene of the entire episode, as Mayfeld is tracking with 2 blasters up and his Go Gadget blaster erected. He is having lights flash, and after each flash, 1 step closer as the horror monster that he is portrayed into. 1 step closer, 1 step closer.
Mhm.
Light flash, light flash. Armando then catches Mayfield. Mando then finally catches up with Quinn before he is able to climb up the ladder and steal the Razor Crest for himself. Then Zero raises his rifle.
Good point. I was wondering what he was doing there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he
He
yeah.
was trying to leave our man in the prison
Yeah, he
ship.
was him first.
Good catch.
Yeah, him first. That's all he cared about.
I like the progression of Mayfeld. Didn't know who Mando was. Got to see what Mando can do against the droids. And then he was smart enough to be fearful, like, oh man, I'm being stalked right now. It was a natural progression of
Yeah.
how he understood who the Mandalorian, or found
was
out
good
who the
storytelling.
Mandalorian was.
Quickly found out that his lack of humility was the the biggest part.
It was good storytelling without dialogue.
Yeah,
Like
it was
the-
all fun and games
Yeah.
when Mando was on your side, and then when you know
let your own anxiety take over and tell the rest of the story, which was
even Zero said over the intercom, you might have a problem. Like he's escaped. Like my dude's coming for you. With that being said, Zero raises his rifle. Baby Yoda raises his hand in retaliation, trying to obviously use the Force.
I wrote down for this scene is Baby Yoda gave it the college try.
Yeah.
Like, he was trying.
He was eyes closed.
Do you guys think he would have done it? I don't think he would have done it in time.
I think he had
'Cause
nothing.
yeah.
I think he was out of gas at that moment. Like he was no chance.
But like we said, once again, this is showing a progression of Baby Yoda.
Jon Favreau's a master storyteller.
That's getting edited out. This is showing the progression of Baby Yoda in how he is aware that he can use the Force. Like this was an option.
Yeah, he knew what he had done in the past and was trying to recreate that moment.
Yeah, he understood that this was literally life or death. He understood that Zero was about to kill him, and he was raising his hand in some sort of defense to
Do you
save
think
himself.
if Mando didn't show up, he would have had a chance, or do you think he would have it would have been over?
I think that the storytelling decision of having Mando shoot Zero in the back was the best.
We don't know.
Well, I think it was the best choice because
Yeah.
it leaves us wanting more from Baby
does.
Yoda.
Like I said, Russell, I think you agree with me that we don't want Yoda to like use the Force
No.
all the
But
time.
every single episode since the Mudhorn
He's
episode,
trying.
he's, it's kind of like building anticipation every single episode. Oh, he's going to use his powers, but he doesn't.
also it kind of rounds out their relationship. Iota saved him at the beginning, and now it's reciprocated. So they might somewhere become a team rather than just the Mandalorian taking care of him and back and forth. So now they get to work together as a team. Maybe we might see that in the future.
Yeah, full circle for sure. So after some hyperspace and what remains of the crew, they fly back into Rand's outpost. After the Mando completes the job and he gets his payment, Rand has a different idea. He says kill him. Before the gunship
Bad
is
move.
launched, Quinn hears a beeping and he notices a New Republic distress signal.
All-tel pager.
Oh yeah, dude, it's done. It's over. Next tell, hello, Moto. After that, and Armando takes off. Then 3 X-Wings come out of hyperspace and no questions are asked. They completely blow away Rand's outpost.
2 smithereens.
Did anyone else get that this was almost like a shot-by-shot remake of when the X-Wings were locking an X-foil position to attack on the
S-foil.
Death Star?
Full send.
S-foil? What did I say? X-foil?
Mm-hmm.
X-foil? Is it S-foil?
I think it's
S-foil
S-foil.
in attack
I read
position.
S-foil.
Anyways, I teared up at this. It was like, oh.
Dude, there's something about X-Wings that get me.
Were they original OG X-Wings or are they the new ones? The new one.
Let's
They-
talk about the pilots. More importantly than the ship model.
Dave?
It's a
Dave Filoni!
more than likely it's a T-45 or T-55 X-Wing.
like
which
they
we will not
stole
get
in
Like the
into.
one at Galaxy's Edge?
Yeah.
But
They're smaller, lighter.
let's talk about the pilots. It is cameo crazy in this.
Yep.
Yeah, so we had an Asian and an Asian female, and we did try to look it up, and I don't think we got a decisive answer. To
She
me,
looks the same.
she does. She looked very similar to the one from Force Awakens in Poe's Black Squadron.
Who blew up the Starkiller base?
Yeah, she's one of the X-wing pilots that blows up on Starkiller Base.
Which Black Squadron is about as equivalent as to Rogue Squadron or Red Squadron in the original trilogy, which we know also has snaps from the
Aftermath series.
Aftermath trilogy,
Huh.
and he's all grown up and he's Chunky Monkey.
Yeah.
Was it Force Collector? Was it the book lately where they showed a little bit of Wedge as the adoptive father of
Wedge is the
Snaps.
adoptive
Total
father.
stepdaddy. They have
Yeah.
a really good relationship.
They do.
It was Resistance is where we got that
You're
fleshed
right.
out.
Resistance.
Yeah,
yep.
the new Resistance Reborn we got fleshed out.
The only redeeming quality of
relationship.
that book.
That I disagree. See that book,
Ugh.
I feel like that book gave you like subtleties that you can take appreciation to leading into the movie.
I am super excited, but we were having a conversation earlier. We were kind of talking about the arc of this show, and you guys were, kind of questioning like where this arc is going. You felt like maybe there wasn't a story that was being fleshed out just yet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a few.
Because we only have 2
Justin?
episodes left.
My concern is I do not grasp yet a seasonal or series, if you're in Europe, arc of the Mandalorian.
Right.
I feel like, yeah, like our boys, like he's found the Baby Yoda, Yoda creature. He's definitely taken him under his wing, but there's no like, here's your finish goal. Here's the main bad guy. Here's what you're fighting against. Every episode has been kind of a different foe, a different villain.
Standalone. It's
Yeah.
almost, and there's no overarching story.
Yeah, and
that's. I mean, honestly, if you had to find some sort of gripe with this show, that would be the only one. I mean, each episode is beautiful. The art is fantastic. Cinematography, art direction. I mean,
It's
it's
a small
a
thing.
work of art. It's
Yeah,
Dave
it's a small
Filoni's
thing to pick
Sistine
apart,
Chapel.
but
I think that they're doing a really good job because we're not able to figure out exactly what the arc is, but the arc is also right in front of your face, and that is
this is also the first live action Star Wars show, so we don't know how they're going to tell the story.
yeah.
It could just be a format that we don't know yet. This could be a new way that they tell stories.
If I had to pick something, it's protecting Baby Yoda.
Well, yeah, but we have 2 chapters left, and Justin brought out earlier in the podcast that each chapter could be different lengths. It's possible that the last 2 chapters are going to
Like
be
a book.
longer to tell
Yeah.
more of a story. And what Connor said earlier is, it's most likely going to end on a cliffhanger. But in
For
order
sure.
for that's going to happen, we have to have some sort of overarching story. So we have 2 chapters left. So
Don't bring Boba Fett in.
Going on with what Connor said, the relationship between the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda is one full circle that I want to see how that develops. And then also the connection that he had with his own guild, and then the connection that he had with the clan. So any one of those 3 coming to like some sort of culmination by the end of season 1 would give me some sort of completeness. Like it would come full circle, rather than seeing some of the other shows that we watch where it feels like one long movie that's been cut up.
right.
That just, follows one linear plot line. So it's nice to see that there's different levels to the Mandalorian and his relationships, like I said, with the guild, with the clan, and then with Yoda. I'm curious to see which one they're going to go with to finish up the season.
It's interesting you bring that up, James, is because with all that being said, where do you guys see this show ending up at the end of season 1?
We got 2 episodes left. That's
Right.
it.
I
Normally,
think
sorry.
that we're looking short term, which is where do we see this show ending on season 1? We have no idea how many seasons this show is.
Well, it's already been confirmed for season 2.
And it's probably going to be a 3. There's probably
How
gonna
long
be...
are we going to have to wait for season 2? Ugh.
this kind of leads
we
me
have
to the other
I'm
question.
saying a year at least.
Ugh.
I asked this question last week. You know how there are some shows that they go into a show with a set amount of seasons to tell a full story.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
as basic as like Babylon 5 was a 5-season show. Each year was a season. They told that entire arc into completion, and that was the story. Do you think that this show has like a here's our boy, our Mandalorian, you know nothing about him, and then it's going to take you to a point where like here's the culmination and completion of his story? Or do you think it's like
Yeah.
out in the open?
I think that's exactly what it is. And maybe this season is all about character building, character development. I mean, he is wearing a mask the entire time, so we can only get so much.
I don't think that it's going to end like that because we have Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and with Clone Wars, we don't get a fleshed out ending to Ezra.
Yeah,
Do you
he
mean
just
Rebels?
disappeared. Yeah,
Yeah, like if
but
we're comparing, we have
he disappears into nowhere.
he disappears. We get the end goal of what he was trying to do. Save Ryloth and
That's a different animal, though, Connor, because that's having to do with kind of the rebellion starts, and then it's a different time in the Star Wars galaxy.
I don't know.
This is
It's the same-
it's
it's
a
the
different
same-
story.
I feel exactly what you're saying. I personally like a show that has good arcs. That's one
Right.
of my primary things I look for in a show. And The Mandalorian, as every wish came true that it is so far, I'm searching for that arc. Like I feel very great episode to episode stories. I don't feel like a start to finish arc
Yeah.
for this season in 2 more episodes that's going to tie it together. which
It's
I
possible.
greatly hope that I'm not going to be correct.
Yeah, and to kind of finish out this episode, I loved that he took off the joystick ball and gave it to Baby Yoda.
That was a great.
I was kind of
callback.
expecting him to kind of throw it and be like, force catch it, But he turns back to Baby Yoda and he's like, I told you that was a bad idea. Yeah.
That was a quotable moment for sure.
Well, guys, that was our episode of The Prisoner, Chapter 6 of The Mandalorian, and now we're going into news. So we're going to keep news brief this week. One thing, I did have an article that I wanted to talk about. Gaming, I feel like, has not been on the rise, so to speak. We've kind of been having the same platforms and the same games like kind of being remade. We've been having some
no new ideas.
Yeah, no new ideas, but we do have a new idea. According to IGN, we do have a Starship Trooper game arriving on PC in 2020. Yeah, this is made based obviously on the 1997 film. It is a universe where humans are being overrun by a colony of insect type aliens, and we will go from there. Buzz Lightyear?
Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Justin?
Get on me at BattleNet.
Oh man,
Lord_feces.
Get you on BattleNet. Yeah, exactly. It'll be Steam, but
StarCraft is still a thing.
Brood War or nothing. Anyway, my news is I have a few quick things I'm going to bounce over. Disney Plus is ruining / making great again Home Alone.
Messing up.
What are your
Macaulay
opinions?
Culkin is a 36-year-old man smacking his cheeks and screaming.
So, Home Alone 3, travesty of the Home Alones, obviously. How
That's
do you
not
guys
real, by the way.
feel about a new Home Alone kind of revamped for this day and age?
Is it like Culkin again, or is it supposed to be a new kid?
So far, they only have two characters. They have Kimmy Schmidt from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, or Aaron from The Office.
Yeah.
That was the receptionist that replaced Pam.
I'm good with that.
Isn't
She's
Aaron
locked
the
in.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
Huh?
That's Aaron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
From The
yeah,
Office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she's locked in.
Right.
I'm assuming she's going to play the mom.
Man,
I
they
mean,
have this much information released already?
I got two actors. Actors is the
Actresses?
nondescript. No, nondescript. The other one is a male actor that I have no idea who he is. Rob Delaney? Don't know. He was in Hobbs and Shaw.
Is there an age?
Fast and Furious movie.
What's his
I
age?
have not seen that.
I looked his picture up and I still didn't know who he was. He was like a post 35 bro with mustache.
Okay, so probably the father. Or
I'm
one of the
assuming so.
burglars.
The more important fact is they did not release who the Macaulay Culkin Kevin character is going to be.
Kind of.
What do you guys feel about it? I didn't feel like leave it alone. Like
I don't think
We're done.
yeah, they're
Disney
gonna,
Plus-
They're done.
Yeah.
Home Alone 3 was terrible.
yeah,
Apparently there was a Home
so
Alone
bad.
4 that was like movie for TV.
I
straight
remem-
to VHS.
I remember watching Home Alone 3 as a still young enough because I loved the home back up to everything. Home Alone 1.
You watched Home Alone 3.
No, I did watch it. But
Applause, my man.
Home Alone 1, I was born in 85. Home Alone came out where I was the same age as Macaulay Culkin. I had his poster on my front door.
It was the best movie ever.
Dude, I loved it so much. Home Alone 3,
Home Alone 2
hot
was
trash.
good. Lost in New York.
Home Alone
Awesome.
2 is good, yeah.
But
My
Home
wife
Alone
and I
3,
fight over which is better, Home Alone 1 or 2. She likes 2, I like 1. That's a different story.
You're right.
I'm not
Justin.
excited about another one. Like, it doesn't need to be touched. It doesn't need to be messed with. There will be nothing as memorable about this. It'll all be kind of like,
We need to move on from Home
yeah,
Alone.
like let the past rest.
Let the past
It's
die.
a great
Let the
movie.
past
Don't
die,
touch it.
Justin.
I think it might be for the new generation, though.
No, it's
You know,
just terrible.
it's gonna ruin it for us. That grew up with
Reboots
it,
don't
which
do
we
well.
love. Well, I agree. I totally agree.
Speaking of reboots don't do well, Jumanji 2 is coming out.
God, it's
Jumanji
gonna-
1, the Jumanji OG is great. The Jumanji movie, the new one
It
with
was
Kevin
funny.
Hart, is the only reboot that I have thought
It was
has done
hilarious.
freaking good.
Yes.
It's awesome.
I liked that it was an actual true like reboot. Like they used a video game
Mhm.
system. They didn't use like the board game.
Exactly.
But they played
Um,
homage to the original
Yeah, for sure.
at the end.
Yeah, I really like the original Jumanji though. So
I do.
It's
It's a
yeah.
totally
Come on,
different
you gotta,
movie.
you
Yeah.
have to like. It's It's so classic.
Can we make
Jeff
like,
Leggett.
dude? I want another School of Rock.
Yes.
Speaking of Jack Black, Jack
Yes.
Black has now said
Single tier.
he is going to retire from movies
Multiple tiers.
after. He said maybe one more movie after Jumanji 2. But if he is retiring from movies, which he was amazing in Airborne, the #1 rollerblading movie ever created,
Ever.
Justin,
He
be
was a
kind and
bully, though.
rewind, all
He
right?
was a bully.
brah.
Bruh.
It's the only time he's been in a movie when he's been in shape.
Yeah,
I'll give it
that
to
is very true, but I love Airborne.
What, Nacho Libre? No.
Airborne was a rollerblade movie.
Yeah.
No,
and,
I'm-
Don't
he
you
was
even
making
know?
a joke.
Like they go to,
Because
they,
he was in
Libre.
shape in Nacho Libre.
he rollerbladed over a causeway.
So my pants were stinky.
But he's retiring from movies to do the only redeemable fact, which is make another Tenacious D album.
Oh, snap.
Tenacious D, rating 1 to 10. What's your favorite song?
The metal.
Yeah.
Which one can you say?
When
Karate.
you're-
Will Lead His Two Kings.
That's
There's
good.
there's a lot. There's
Can
a
we
lot.
just do like a cut of like all his songs?
The-
boom, 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 back to
The
back.
metal is my favorite because it was in Guitar Hero 3,
Mhm.
and I loved playing that song in Guitar Hero 3.
Can we just have like a background track right now of this playing while we're talking about it?
That's a lot of bleeping.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
All the copyrights.
But Kyle and Jack back together making some new music is definitely worth pursuing. If that has to mean he doesn't make a Jumanji 3, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Same.
What about the new Xbox? Anybody?
How am I going to fit that into my entertainment center? It's not going to fit. It's too tall. It's like a monolith,
It's
mini
like
monolith.
two GameCubes stacked.
Yeah.
They,
It
they,
is.
they didn't release all the details.
No.
As far as we don't know if we can put it on its side or if it does have to stand up.
And all the specs are proprietary names of like, we have the Xbox processor with 1 million Xbox memory units.
Yeah,
But the
this
specs,
is totally we're
8K,
doing.
120 frames per second.
Yeah, like
I mean,
they
that's
said-
insane right now.
they said 4K 60 with 120 FPS
there's no
possible.
8K?
8K capabilities.
so
So like
60.
TBD
further
like
updates.
8K.
Well, there's not even an 8K. Well, there is 8K TVs, but they're like thousands upon thousands
There's
of
no
dollars.
content, though.
I don't feel
Yeah.
like 8K is going to be that impressive. To me, the lighting of HDR is more important than anything
agree.
that
Agree.
1080 to 4K.
But it's the future. In 10
right.
years.
But I don't think that the resolution is as much as a big deal.
Well, I have the Xbox. You're an Xbox guy.
I am may or may
James,
not.
you're
does
an
anyone
Xbox
have
guy.
an Xbox One X?
MAYOR.
No, but
True
I have a
4K gaming.
I have a Slim.
I have an X.
Yeah,
I have a PS4 Pro. Represent.
Loud, worthless
bro.
hunk of crap.
right there.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yep. You know what? I got that thing. 2 weeks it broke.
Mine's still going strong.
No, it works, but the power button doesn't work. I have to use my controller to turn the thing on and off.
Probably because it's right here and you hit it with your knee.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, not.
Anyways, so is that news, Justin?
That's the news that I have written down.
So are we talking about an embarrassing story?
Sure.
let's do it.
Sure, let's do it.
This week, James Platt is in the hot seat after Russell cannot sit still and continues to move in his chair, making a farty noise and laughing like a chitlin. James is going to tell his embarrassing story. Are we going to edit that out?
No, he sounded like he had diarrhea in his pants. No, we're going to let that ride.
Okay.
Please take that out.
That's gonna fit in.
Oh, we are
perfect
going to
with my
let this
story.
ride.
Can we use that as a soundbite for my story?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Every time somebody goes to give an embarrassing story, it's going to be Russell sliding down in that chair. Just a,
Awesome. Well,
Continue, sir.
this was an interesting day in my life. As a subcontractor, as was mentioned earlier.
And the first sponsor of our show, which you gloriously donated $10,000.
Isn't that the number Jim donated to like the sports consultants?
Wait,
and the...
you guys said 10,000 credits.
oh,
We
Were
haven't
these in-
established what that's even.
These are
worth
Mon
yet.
Calamari
Were these
credits.
Imperial
Come
Mon
on.
Calamari New
Inflation
Republic credits?
and- come on, guys. Let's establish. Anyway, so
something more real.
first day I'm subcontracting for this new guy, do exterior painting, and I'm driving up to Daytona Beach, and I'm supposed to meet the guy there, And anyone that knows me, I have a cast iron stomach. Like, nothing phases me.
TBD.
And about halfway up there, I'm from Orlando. For the national listeners that are not here from Florida, we live in Orlando, which is about an hour south of Daytona Beach. So as I'm driving up there, all of a sudden, I get the tummy rumbles. And I'm like, what is this? I never get this.
What time of day is this? Are we like
8 a.m.
Oh,
I know.
so first thing,
3 coffees deep.
Yeah, because you wake up and you drink like 6 cups.
I was
of
like,
coffee.
there's at
I
least
know.
1 to 2 energy drinks or like pints of coffee.
3 for
All the
5
monsters.
monsters. That's not my fault. That's
I measure
racetracks.
things in pints.
Three-
If you guys
three
didn't
for
know.
Shout out
five
to
mon-
racetrack.
3 for 5 monsters. Is this 5 monsters for $3 or 3 monsters for $5?
I don't know.
These
After
are
the second one,
Canon
you
charge monsters.
can't- you
They're
can't
like the
remember
big
this
boys.
After the second one, anyways. So I'm halfway up to Daytona Beach and I get the tummy rumbles and I'm like, oh man, this is not good.
Oh.
So we get to Daytona Beach, we get off the highway and
Cloth interior?
yes, but luckily not my truck.
Okay. It's like, that's a serious point if it's cloth.
So I do what you should never do.
Trust a fart.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. I release some pressure. I'm thinking, I've got some buildup right now. Let me just hit the pressure valve and give my stomach some relief, right?
Yeah.
Well, couldn't exactly close it as quickly as I opened it.
As the owner of an Instant Pot from Black Friday, I have learned the quick release to the timed release. You went for the quick release of the pressure.
I mean, I tried. I went for it. You're right. And I got more than I bargained for. So I leaned on my left leg and I looked at my business partner who was driving. I'm like, hey man, we got a problem. And he's like, what's the issue? And I'm like, I don't want to tell you, but I really need a bathroom and a pressure washer. So he's like, we got to go to the job. This guy's waiting on us. The homeowner's waiting on us. And I'm like, oh God, okay, fine, let's go.
A businessman to your core.
So we get there, and of course, they're waiting outside for us. I have no reprieve, like no 2 minutes to myself getting out of the truck. So as soon as I open up the door...
Just so we're clear, you crapped your pants.
I mean...
He did not full crap.
That's a pretty strong...
Well, how strong was the situation?
Was there a turtle head
This is a
poking out?
Shark Week scenario.
No, there was a tail showing.
there
turtle
we
tail.
go.
He was pushing cotton.
Oh, okay.
So-
Pushing cotton.
So I get out of the truck, and I immediately turn to my business partner. I'm like, dude, how bad is it? And he looks at me, and he gives me the eyes like, it's all over. Like, it's my
Your
career's
life is
all
done.
over.
It's like,
It's
khakis
ended.
were a bad choice.
Oh, and they were army khaki shorts. So, I mean, you think they would hide something or it would be invisible. You
They're
couldn't see
definitely
it, but-
camo now.
You've been in a war.
So I'm freaking out because they're walking over to the truck. So I look in the back seat, and there it is, my savior, a long sleeve T-shirt. And I wrap it around my waist like a 12-year-old girl becoming a woman.
You going to your first Jewel concert?
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, God, this is bad. So I wrap it around my waist, and I walk up to the homeowner, and I walk up to this guy, and we're walking around the house, and it's about a 20-minute walk around. And the whole time, squishing.
I imagine you walking like you're trying to hold a 5-gallon bucket with your knees.
I'm trying to
Like, you're
hold
like,
a playing card between my knees, basically, the whole time, not trying to drop it. So as soon as we're all done with the walk around, they're like, great, y'all ready to get started? And I'm like, yeah, gotta make a quick trip to Target, though.
Gotta delay you just a
Target.
second.
I know they didn't understand, but I'm like, this is necessary. It's all part of the process.
This isn't part of your payment.
I'll be
One
back
Target
in-
trip.
I'll be back in 30 minutes. So we go to Target. I find the nicest of cargo shorts that I can find. And I don't know if you've ever changed. in a
$50
Target.
later.
I have changed in Target more times than I would like
I
to
have
admit.
a question.
I'm curious about that, though. Why have you changed so many times?
I have
in
a
Target?
question.
Sure.
You're buying new cargo pants at Target. Did you ever finish, or did you poop your pants enough that you didn't have to go again?
I think I was done for the day.
He,
Wrap it up.
He
We're,
met-
we're done here.
So anyway,
he met his fecal threshold.
Yeah.
there was one more thing, like a crucial decision. Do you throw it out, or do you try to?
No,
clean
you
it?
shame stuff
You
that
leave
into
it
the
in the
garbage.
dressing room
And
for
that's
the
what
next
happened.
Those are not savable, James. Those
Oh,
are
God,
not
Russell
savable.
said you leave it in the dressing room.
I've seen worse in the dressing rooms at Walmart.
Well, it didn't feel like it that
You
day.
put
I felt
those-
like I did the worst damage possible to that Target. So
You
anyways,
put those in the hand towel, and then you stuff 3 unused hand towels on top for safety.
Wow.
You got to make it look natural.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you
Where
hang
were you
stuff
3
up
years ago?
that you're not gonna buy in the dressing room?
Oh God! Oh, replace them, hang them back up. Oh, that's horrible. But anyways, that was the most embarrassing story, I guess.
So this was like last week, right?
This was 2013.
19.
Okay.
19.
2019. It's been a year.
But I'm like Connor. I don't really get embarrassed. I don't. But that one, I was feeling the shame. Like when I laid my head there at night and I looked up at the ceiling, I'm like, really, James?
Everybody keep in
Better
mind, this
food
is his
decisions.
first appearance on this show.
It wasn't shame.
And he
It
said
was
he doesn't get shamed.
It was just feeling that feeling of having it drip down the back of your leg while you're laying in bed, and you're like, yeah, I remember what that
It
felt
makes
like.
me think of in first grade when you're running down to first and you feel something burst.
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, thank you so much
Diarrhea.
to our
I
guest.
think I just found my new ringtone.
Thank you so much to our guest,
Can we
James.
sing that?
James Platt, for coming on to the show. Once again, this was
Thanks,
the
guys.
recap to Chapter 6, The Prisoner. Look out for, we're going to have, once again, bonus episodes on the first Thursday and the third Thursday of every month, and we will be back with you next week. Now, Mandalorian, if you didn't know, is going to be airing on Wednesday, and that is because Rise of Skywalker is coming out on
Keep
Thursday.
your schedules clear.
2 days from now. If this is airing on Monday,
If you wait
got
till
2
Friday, you will have
days.
a lot to listen to.
Yeah, there's gonna be we're gonna have a busy December with a lot of Star Wars content. So once again, guys, I was your host. It's KonKon, followed by our guest,
James Weasley Morlock.
also by our PR.
Bafflebox 16
Oh my
on the
God.
AOL Instant Messenger.
You can
And as always, the tallest member of our podcast.
you can find me on MySpace, Magistrate.
Listen, we can't steal. Oh my God!
Justin
Listen,
Baker.
that was Russell Allen.
Russell Allen, Magistrate. Find me on MySpace.
Thanks, guys.